Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Ohayon with you for another edition of the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to your weekend. You know how that goes. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group is a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Are you looking for the ultimate entertainment destination? Playground is your ticket to nonstop thrills. Experience heart-pumping gaming action and a world-class poker experience. Playground is the 2025 winner of the Fan Choice Best Poker Room at the Global Poker Awards. Indulge your taste buds at incredible restaurants and then let loose with live music and electrifying DJs. Enjoy unmatched customer service just minutes away from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. Why settle for the ordinary when you can have the extraordinary? Playground, it's all here. Visit playground.ca to discover more. We're also brought to you by Bittt Tibi beer. Bittt Tibi has launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer for those hot summer days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% alcohol per can. Available in packs of 6 and 12 in grocery stores and dépanneurs across the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. And finally, by Betway, go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is available only for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. Last week we had a signing for the Canadiens. This week, not much, but that's not going to stop us, as it hasn't stopped us all summer, by talking about the Canadiens and talking about the upcoming season for the Canadiens and the significance of the roles of certain players will play in expectations and the roles they'll have and where the Canadiens will end up come April next year. So without further ado, here he is. He's Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette. Stu, what's going on?
I'm doing really well. It's pretty been busy at Brossard, too. A lot of Canadiens guys are in town with Nick Suzuki's upcoming wedding. A lot of guys have been skating at Brossard. Demidov's been skating. A friend of mine works in the boutique there, and he's been skating apparently every day this summer and twice a day a lot of days. So it's so busy over there at the Habs practice rink.
Well, it's funny. I had it written down on my paper. Habs players hitting the ice in July. Well, we have Samuel Montembeault, Patrik Laine, Nick Suzuki, Juraj Slafkovsky, Cole Caulfield, Jake Evans, Arbor Xhekaj, and Florian Xhekaj.
And Tyler Toffoli's in town also for Suzuki's wedding. He's been skating with his old teammates.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's nice for them to catch up on the ice. And I'm sure Jake Evans is pretty happy about that.
Yeah, well, it sort of speaks to the bond that since this rebuild started that they've built with this Canadiens team, that these guys are still really close. You know, Tyler Toffoli is one of the first big guys traded away as part of the rebuild, but still really close. Jake Evans and him are really, really close friends. He's close with Nick Suzuki also, so I'm sure it'll be a fun time at Nick's upcoming wedding.
Yeah, that one will have some stories to come from for sure. Listen, this is one of the guys I wanted to talk about. Let's start with him first, because he's been. I don't want to call him the biggest question mark, but he's been a very polarizing figure, we'll call him, over the course of the season for the Montreal Canadiens up until now. It is Patrik Laine. Very nice to see him skating every day, every day this week almost, it seems like. Hitting the ice in July, really working, because a lot of people were calling into question, myself included, his work ethic over the course of last season and in the playoffs. And then he got injured and couldn't play the final game of the series. So with Patrik Laine seemingly going to be back next year, because I was also one who said that I think the Canadiens would do everything they can to have him not be on the roster next year. Looks like that's not going to happen. So how significant is he in terms of the success of Canadiens the upcoming season?
I think he's very significant, and I think it speaks volumes about how many guys have stuck around Montreal this summer, whether for the full summer or coming in and out, because it used to be the season was over, and unless the guys were from Montreal or Quebec originally, they were gone, right? They were gone back home as soon as they could. So it's nice to see so many of these guys sticking around, and Laine also. And, in Laine's defense, it's a major knee injury at the preseason, came back, tried to play through it. And as he said at the end of the season, his main goal this past season was just to fall in love with hockey again, because he came very close to retiring. He was ready to give it up. And he did, despite he experienced all the highs and lows that can come with playing in Montreal, right? He was like a god when he first got here and started scoring all those goals on the power play. And then at the end of the season, people were ripping him, right? And trying to run him out of town. So in his defense, he came here with a lot of red flags. There's a reason why they got him for basically nothing. Jordan Harris, and they also got a second-round pick, Montreal did, and Jordan Harris lasted one season in Columbus and left, and now he's at Boston. So they didn't really give up anything to get him. They also got a second-round pick, and it's because of those red flags, which has been problems everywhere he's played, and his work ethic has been questioned, his defensive play has been questioned. But I think the fact that he really seemed to enjoy being in Montreal, he wants to be here, he's skating already, he's sticking around, he should be healthy for the start of the season. And if it's a healthy Patrik Laine, I think we're going to see a better Patrik Laine all-around player than we saw last year, because I think he wants to be here. I think he really wants to play in Montreal, and he likes playing here. I think he likes the group that's here. And so it's going to be interesting to see if he can lower those red flags, and if he can become a better 200-foot player and become the player that he was when Winnipeg had him. And I think he's a real key to this team's success, especially getting out of the gates early in the season, and where they're going to slot him in the top six.
So I agree. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, barring, health, of course, should he stay healthy up until, the beginning of the season and throughout, how much of what we saw him on the defensive side of the puck is really him versus how limited he was by his knee. Because I think it's somewhere in the middle. Of course, it has to be, but
I think it's leaning more to it being him and also factoring in the injury. But Marty St. Louis gave him some tough coaching at the end of the year, right? He bumped him to the fourth line. He limited his ice time. He was taken off the number one power play unit. So I think he realized that it's not going to be handed to him here. Like, if he wants to stay here and he wants to be part of this group, and he seems to be excited about the possibility for the future of this group, like a lot of people and a lot of fans are, and rightfully so, he's going to have to pick up his game. And I think Marty St. Louis made that clear to him at the end of last season.
Well, that's it. They've, I think now at this point, 3 years into having Martin St. Louis, or full 3 years, I should say, having Martin St. Louis as head coach, and a full 3 years with Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon at the helm, I think they have set a standard that is at this point going to be one that if they are acquiring a player, whoever it may be, they're going to be doing quality character checks on them, and they're going to have to fall in line if they want a future in Montreal. That's just how it's going to be. That's how the Florida Panthers operate. You want to play for the Florida Panthers? No problem. You're going to fall in line. It doesn't matter who you are. You're falling in line with what we have set, and you are playing the game that we would like to play. And I think that was a major pressing point for Martin St. Louis last year, because it was very easy to play, free hockey and whatever for 2 years. And he really cracked the whip a lot last season, and he had to. And it's we're seeing the fruits of that labor now, because I think they have set a standard, and that it's not it's no player is bigger than the club.
No, and as I said, I mean, getting Laine was a no-risk move. And this is a team that was desperate for offense. And it's not very often that a 26-year-old, he's 27 now, but he's 26 when they got him, a 26-year-old like Patrik Laine, who has scored 44 goals in the NHL. He's had a 36-goal season in the NHL. He's had a 30-goal season in the NHL. He's a proven offensive player. We saw what he could do on the power play when he came in last year. It's rare those guys become available, never mind become available for next to nothing. And again, because of those red flags, that's why he was available for next to nothing. But he was ready. I mean, he was so unhappy with the way things worked out in Columbus and the injury he had, et cetera, et cetera. And he spoke about it when he went back to Columbus this year about how unhappy he was there. And he was ready to give up on playing hockey. And now it looks like he's ready to play hockey again. And again, the fact that he's on the ice so much already this summer leads me to believe that he really does want to be here and he does want to become the player Marty St. Louis wants to be. And like nobody wants to win more than Marty St. Louis. You don't become a Hall of Famer. You don't become a guy who wasn't drafted. Everybody, bet against him. He said he loves proving people wrong. He wants to win. It was difficult for him coming into this coaching situation and being told, we don't care about winning, right? It's all about performance. That's why we hired you. That's why we hired you with no NHL coaching experience, because it's not about winning now. It's about teaching guys how to play, and they thought Marty St. Louis would be able to do that. And Cole Caulfield, we've seen how he's turned him into a 200-foot player. But Marty St. Louis wants to win, and he's fed up of losing after 3 years of this rebuild. And like going into this season, he wants to win. So he's not going to have a lot of patience with Patrik Laine or anybody who doesn't want to get on board with what they're building here and how they want guys to play. And compete level at the end of the season, when Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes spoke with the media, compete level is at the top of their list of priorities. It's above size. It's above everything. They want guys that are going to compete hard. So Patrik Laine is not going to compete hard. He's not going to get much ice time here, and he'll get traded eventually.
Well, that's it. And I listen, that's not to say that both of us expect Patrik Laine to become the next star of the Habs penalty kill coming up. Yeah. But, he will be. They're going to work with him. I think they will. They have no choice because he's on the roster, and he will fall in line. And I think we will see more of an effort. I think the thing that pissed a lot of people off, later on in the season was those same things where he would kind of enter the zone and just kind of give up the puck at the wall and just cough it up instead of putting it in deep. Just simple things like that were really, just irking people because he wasn't scoring and he was giving the puck away. And
those dangerous cross-ice passes sort of just before the blue line that result in 3-2s going the other way. And that's something that drove Marty St. Louis crazy. Like, the risk management with the puck, risk management with the puck was not very good. But I mean, here's a guy who missed 30 games. He played 52 games last year. There's only 3 guys on the Canadiens who scored more goals than him, and they all played all 82 games. Caulfield had 37, Suzuki had 30, and Gallagher had 21, and then Patrik Laine with 20. So they need his offense. They still need his offense in there, but they need him to play a better two-way game also.
Well, that's it. The Canadiens don't get to where they are last year without Patrik Laine.
No, they don't make the playoffs. I mean,
exactly.
And you said that, and I've written that they do not. Without the offensive boost he gave them when he first joined the lineup, especially on the power play, they don't make the playoffs. It's simple as that. So as much as people want to bash on him and remember the way he was at the end of the season, and getting bumped down to the fourth line, and that the goals he scored early when he came back are a big reason why the Canadiens made the playoffs.
Well, that's it. And I've said for the past, not this past year, but the years before when the Canadiens power play was like really, really bad. I'd said, how many more wins would 20 more power play goals get you? And we saw that. We saw that this year, how many more wins it would get you. So I think Patrik Laine has a huge role to play this year. I think it'll be interesting to see how he answers the to that. Again, I don't expect him to be the next defensive specialist, but I think we're going to see a more engaged Patrik Laine.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. And I'm optimistic about this team going into next season for quite a few, and especially like Laine and a guy like Kirby Dach, guys that have something to prove going into next season. Doc going into the last season of his contract after all his knee injuries, and that is because I think they want to be here. Like, if you didn't want to be here and you're unhappy here and the team was no good and the atmosphere was no good and you want to get out, but when you want to stay here, I think Laine and Doc are going to do everything they can to. I don't think their effort level is going to be a problem this season. I'd be surprised if it is, and if it is, well, then that's on them.
The next two guys, we're going to go one at a time here. They have the potential to be the stars of the city, and on the other end, they have potential to be the team's whipping boy. It depends which way it goes. One of them probably has a lot more leash than next, but so we'll start with the guy who's been here for a couple of years, is Juraj Slafkovsky. Mm-hmm. It's going to be year 4 for him in the NHL.
Yep.
He is, I think we all know where management stands on him. I think he knows that pretty clear because they're not just going to say that in the media without talking to him first. To me, a realistic expectation of Juraj Slafkovsky this year would be you need to hit 60 points. Yeah, you need to hit 60. And, we were just talking about the word with Patrik Laine, engagement. You need to look engaged because I forget how many games into the season it was last year. It was, how far into the season that game against the New York Islanders was, where they managed to save a point in the shootout, and none of the big three shot in the shootout. Mm-hmm. And that was in October, and Slafkovsky was the only one of those 3 players of Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky where he wasn't putting up points and he didn't look engaged. Like Suzuki was putting up points, but he didn't look so engaged at the beginning of the season. And the same thing for Caulfield. Like they were just falling into points because of that. But Slafkovsky wasn't. And we saw once he started to work, then the points started to come. This is a guy that needs to show up from day one.
Yeah, and as you said, 60 points, 50 points 2 seasons ago. Well, the first season he only played 39 games, but 51 points last season, 18 goals. Like you expect the guy, especially with the ice time he's getting on the first line and playing with the 2 guys he's playing with, you expected, you said, at least 60 points, 25 goals. That's what I think you would expect from a guy like that. He's going into the first year of his big contract, which is going to be an added pressure on him. And his biggest thing is just consistency. I mean, it's easy to forget he's only 21 years old. And you keep after games, like he's hard on himself, and he'll say, I need to be more consistent, I need to be more physical. He said after the 4 Nations break last year, I need to play like Brady Tkachuk. Mm-hmm. You have to play like a Tkachuk, and he does. He has to play like that. Maybe not going over the line the way those guys do at times, but he has to use his size. He has to be physical, and he has to do it every single game, every single shift. And that's where the problem with Slafkovsky's been, and that's what makes him frustrating. Because in spurts we see what he can be. But he's got to be that game after game after game after game. And he's got to be on the bench telling himself that every shift, this shift, this shift, this shift. Play every shift like you're trying to prove that you deserve that contract that the Canadiens give you, right? I mean, he's making a lot of money now for the next 8 years starting this season. So he's got to earn it. He's 21 years old. He has experience under his belt. I think, as you mentioned, Marty St. Louis wanting to win. I think the leash is going to be shorter with Juraj Slafkovsky this year too. As far as you're not guaranteed your spot on that first line because they have other guys now that can go on that line, right? They brought guys in that can play on that line now. So Zachary Bolduc would love to play on that line. Patrik Laine would love to play on that line with those guys. So I don't think things are going to be handed. I don't think Marty St. Louis is going to accept the inconsistency as much as he has in the past, saying, he's a young guy, which he is. But I mean, he's got 200 games of NHL experience now. So age-wise, he's young, but NHL experience-wise, he's not. And he has to just learn. He has to that consistent. He has to show up. You're not going to get points every game. One of Pat Hickey's great lines, you say, a 30-goal scorer means he didn't score in at least 52 games. So those games that you don't score, you got to do something. You got to be effective, and he's got to get a little bit of Josh Anderson into his game, where when the puck's dumped into the other team's zone, defensive zone, and the defenseman goes to get it, he's got to be worried that Juraj Slafkovsky's coming, the way they're worried when Josh Anderson is coming after you, especially in the playoffs. He's got to finish checks. You see so many times where he turns away from that check, and he's that one hand on the stick thing, which drives me crazy. I've written about it. We've talked about it before. He's got to be aggressive on his stick, 2 hands on the stick, hacking at pucks to get loose pucks, not going in with the one-handed poke that, Jonathan Drouin was one with that, but he didn't have the physical size that Slafkovsky has. So he's just got to be stronger on the puck, more physical and more consistent. And again, I think they're going to be pushing. I mean, Kent Hughes spoke with him last season at one point when he was struggling and saying, we need more out of you, man. We just put a lot of money. We're going to put a lot of money in your bank account starting next season. You got to start earning it. So the consistency thing with Slafkovsky is going to be key. And I think the fact there's going to be more internal competition for that spot playing with Suzuki and Caulfield might be the motivation that he needs.
Yeah, and I think he needs to. What I would love to see is for him to eliminate his nickname, which is second half Slav.
Yeah,
how about you could keep that, but develop into second half Slav on steroids, figuratively, not literally. Yeah. But you just be there for the full season, because we see the player he could be in the second half. And even towards the end of the season, this past season, we saw some mistakes that could have been really costly for the Canadiens, and especially in those games where they needed that one win to clinch the playoffs. I think he made a really big boneheaded play against Carolina, maybe, and it led to directly to a goal. Yeah. So these are just things that he needs to iron out, because it's like you said, it may have been only his third year this past year in the NHL. He's going into his fourth. He's still a young guy. But now you are getting paid money. You are getting paid real money. You're not getting paid $900,000 or however much it was before. You are getting paid $7.8 million. There are expectations that come attached to it. And the protection from those expectations comes off, because you're one of the guys now. That's it. You are one of the core pieces that needs to be, contributing night in, night out. And what was I think it was you always say the line from Chris Nyland that Jacques Lemaire said, that you're allowed to have one bad game out of every 10
games. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. You're like one bad game out of every 10. That's it. And then so it's like 8 bad games a year you're allowed. And that makes sense, right? I mean, some nights you're not going to have your legs. Some nights you're not going to be feeling 100%. Some nights you just don't have it, right? But that can't happen like 3 out of 10 games.
Exactly.
And the thing, and Slafkovsky, like he improved in his own zone, in the defensive zone last year. He really did. I mean, plus minus isn't the be all and end all of, but I mean, he went from a minus 19 player to a plus 4 player. He wasn't, the first couple of years in the NHL, especially in his own zone, it seemed like when the puck came around the boards to him and the defenseman pinched on him on the smaller rink, he wasn't used to it, and he panicked with the puck a lot and would make bad giveaways. But now he got much better in his own end. He didn't make those sort of boneheaded moves. And I know Adam Nicholas has really worked a lot with Juraj Slafkovsky since he got here. And I think Adam Nicholas deserves some of the credit for that, in getting him just not to panic in his own end with the puck and realize that the defenseman is going to be pinching in on you pretty quick. So he did improve in his own end last year, but he's got to just improve the physical play overall and use his size, make use. He's a monster, this kid. I mean, he's bigger than Josh Anderson, and Josh Anderson makes use of his size. He's got to, a combination of the Kachucks and Josh Anderson. That's what Slafkovsky has to become.
Well, that was it, right? I mean, the Canadiens, the whole thing was they need, after against the Capitals, was they need to get bigger. They need to get bigger. Well, they have big guys.
And you said that at the end of the season, and he said, we have guys that are big. And he didn't name Juraj Slafkovsky, but that's who he was talking about. We have guys who are big who have to play bigger, and he's number one on that list.
Yeah, and again, these are not. This isn't us, being tough on Laine, tough on Slafkovsky. It's just the reality of the situation. If the Canadiens want to succeed, these guys are the two of the highest paid forwards on the team. That's a reflection of the talent and the roles that are going to be given on the team.
Yeah, and Laine is a big guy, but I mean, he's been around the league enough. He's not a super physical guy, right? He's a big, strong guy, but that's not part of his game. But Slafkovsky, that is part of his game, and it can be part of his game, and it should be part of his game. He's such a big kid. He's got to use that size to his advantage.
Well, for a player like Laine, you wouldn't just. It surprises me every single time. I'll just pull up his hockey DB page, and it just says 6'5", 250. Like it shocks me every time because he doesn't play that way. And that's not to say you got to go out just because you're 6'5" and be Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
But remember how Armia was the year that the Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah.
Remember how he carried the puck?
Good Joel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
How
the bad Joel that ended up in Laval. Yeah,
exactly. But that's how Laine should be carrying the puck.
Well,
I mean, muscling people off. People should be able to muscle a 6'5" guy off a puck.
and that's what frustrated me so much about watching Armia when he was here. You know, you see him in practice and you see him in the locker room, how big he is. He's a monster, right? And the skills he has, and the way he can skate and he can shoot. And when he wants to protect the puck, nobody can get him off it. But then he doesn't do it for long periods of time. And it's like, what are you doing? Like how? And sending him to Laval was a wake up call. Obviously, turned him around and got him back now. To be a player that he could be. But that's sort of that tough love thing, right? That we're talking about with Laine. That I think Marty St. Louis is going to have also. The Canes just got so frustrated with Armia, they sent them to Laval. And they got to, Slafkovsky's got to realize that's what makes Slafkovsky frustrating at times, although Slafkovsky's younger, right? So you have to factor that in also. But Armia has been that way ever since he was in the NHL. He was a first-round draft pick, right, by Buffalo. But with Slafkovsky, he's got to just get that, keep in his mind, it's easy to say you have to play like a Tkachuk. Go do it.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? That was actions speak louder than words, as the old saying goes, and that's really the case for a couple players on the Canadiens. That was the case for Slafkovsky. That's the case for Slafkovsky, and it's the case for Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach was very well aware of how he was playing. These guys aren't blind. They're not.
Another big guy who has to play bigger, right? Yep. So they have size. The Canadiens have size in their lineup.
So we spent a lot of time talking about Kirby Dach on this podcast. He's not the third player. So we gotta keep it fresh a little bit, but the success of this player might have something to do with Kirby Dach in the upcoming season. This one's a little different because expectations are high. Is the pressure going to be on? I'm not so sure. We'll see how the season unfolds. But Ivan Demidov, I think a lot of the hype around where the Canadiens could finish in the upcoming season and what they're going to do and how they're going to progress really hinges on, a lot of people's expectations of Ivan Demidov. I mean, people are expecting, Snake Boisvert was on the Sick podcast with Tony. He said 60 to 70 points. Eric Engels said this guy could be an 80-point guy. I don't know if he said about next year, but he said in his career. And, Tony is the president of the fan club. I'm on the bandwagon, believe me. But I think that he obviously has the potential to be a 60, 70, 80, 90-point guy in his career. But what do the Canadiens need from him this season, and how much of it should be shouldered on him versus, he's not doing so well because of his line mates and all that extra noise?
Offense, right? That's why they drafted him. And we mentioned that's why they got Laine. This is a team that struggled offensively. And, I think it was Snake Boisvert said he's almost guaranteed that he'd be the rookie of the year next year. It's not a bad bet because he was rookie of the year in the KHL. He's played against men, set a KHL record for most points by a player under 20 years old. Got a taste of the NHL at the end of last season. And the fact he's spent all summer here, I think, is just huge. Getting to know his teammates, getting comfortable around the city. His girlfriend's here with him also. His English was pretty good when he got here, and it'll only get better. I'm not sure how much English his girlfriend speaks to that, but just getting the two of them comfortable in the city, comfortable around the teammates, comfortable around the practice rink in Brossard. On the ice every day, as I said, my buddy told me there's days he's on the ice twice a day in Brossard, in the morning, and then he comes back in the afternoon and skates again. So I think there's reason to have high expectations for him going into the season, especially he's going to be in the top six. He's going to be in the top number one power play unit. He's shown his talk about compete level. He showed when he was here, he competes and the skill level is there. So, I mean, it's hard to put, say 20 goals for a kid coming into the NHL, a rookie, but he's also 20 years old, right? He's not an 18-year-old kid coming right in. So it's, I could see 20 goals and 60 points as a definite possibility for him this season.
I'd have to agree with that because, I mean, hey, listen, if he is being billed, this is something that I saw on Twitter over the last weekend, right after we got off our episode, which was that he is ranked, I think, he's either number 2 or number 3 in the best prospects that are still, I mean, he has a handful of games, but they're still considered prospects outside of the NHL. And that was on The Athletic, and that's significant for a very big reason. And this is something I tweeted it out that my former colleague Sean Campbell once taught me, and he once said this to me when I was young in my career and still bought into every single prospect. He said to me this: your stock is never as high as the day/year you were drafted.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you're not the shiny new toy anymore, and you are forgotten about. And that's not necessarily, that's the case for, local prospects, like if you're, prospects on a beat. So if you just look at the Canadiens, but especially if you look on a, league wide level, the fact that he was number 2 or 3, I think the only player ahead of him, it was Matthew Schaefer was ahead of him. The fact that he's still in these headlines is very, very significant, because that means he's not just a shiny new toy. He is the real deal. So just to put all that together, I mean, Snake would be surprised or he's a shoo-in to win the Calder Trophy. Well, it looks like Vegas agrees, because
I was going to say he must be the favorite in the.
Oh, he's a runaway favorite.
Yeah.
Runaway favorite. He's plus 280 to win it. The next closest person is plus 40. Is it plus 1400 or plus 1400 plus 1300 is Zeev Boyum.
Yeah.
Of the Minnesota Wild. Yeah. So that's a very, very big discrepancy in odds.
Yeah, well, he had 2 points in the 2 games he played at the end of last season. He had a goal and an assist. And you're talking about 20 goals, 60 points. You look at Macklin Celebrini, the number 1 pick, 2024 draft, 63 points. He missed 12 games last season. He still had 63 points, 25 goals, 38 assists, and not playing on a team with as much talent as what the Canadiens have now, right? So that's why I think 60 points. I wouldn't be shocked to see him, post 20 goals and 60 points next season.
See, that's Macklin Celebrini is the perfect example of why I bring up Ivan Demidov, because that's something that I saw is exactly what you just said. People were saying that Macklin Celebrini was able to do that, what he did, without a very talented team around him. Yeah, they have some nice players, San Jose, but they were last in the NHL or close to it for a reason. Is it fair to put the expectation on Demidov of you're the player that if you're supposed to be who you're supposed to be with, not you should be able to play with scrubs, but you should be driving, and it shouldn't be an excuse as to why you couldn't hit a 60-point plateau is because you weren't playing with the right line mates or that. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the top 6. And we were talking earlier, about Slafkovsky not being guaranteed his spot on that number 1 line. And, Ivan Demidov would be a guy that's, Slafkovsky's struggling on that number 1 line. Ivan Demidov, I think, is the first guy who's going to get a chance to play there. Mm-hmm. So it's, and you mentioned Celebrini missed 12 games, still got 63 points. So I think it's really, that's one of my biggest question marks going into the season, is how the top 6 is going to set up once it gets going. And Demidov's going to be there, right? I'm probably going to start the season on the second line, whether that's with Doc and Laine, or whether it's with Bolduc, or however Marty St. Louis decides to set it up. But I'd be really surprised if we don't see him at some point on the number 1 line with Suzuki and Caulfield.
Yeah, I would too. And it's not even going to be a matter of, I mean, the only way that we wouldn't see it outside of injuries and whatnot, I'm talking about play, is that Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky is Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak, and Brad Marchand reincarnate.
Slafkovsky plays like Tkachuk every night, and physical, and this is my spot, and I'm not going to lose it. And that's what I was saying earlier about the internal competition. Why it's so good is that Slafkovsky's basically had everything handed to him since he got here, right? Number 1 pick, right with the Canadiens right away. Wasn't on the number 1 line right away, but worked his way up there and stayed there. Even when he was struggling, they left him there to stay there. On the power play, they've done everything they can to make it work with him, right? Everything, they've given him every opportunity to succeed, and rightfully so. He's number 1 overall draft pick. But now you've got another guy who, number 5 overall pick. Some people going into that draft said he was the second best player in the draft behind Celebrini. He was sort of a consensus number 1. But now you got somebody chomping on your heels that they want that spot. And I think that's going to be good for him. And I think it's going to be good for Demidov. And I think it's going to be good for the team in as a whole. And they have more, when this rebuild started, like who else were they going to put on that line, right? They have players now that they can move around and play with Suzuki and play with Caulfield. And it's going to be interesting. As I said, it's going to be interesting to see. I imagine Slafkovsky starts the season there, but I mean, if during the preseason they put Demidov with those guys for a few games and it works, who knows?
Well, that's it. I think there's going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot of work for Martin St. Louis. Is going to be working hard with Chantal Macabé on how to frame these things properly, and how Martin St. Louis is very, very good at not putting pressure on his players in the media. But I think it's going to be a lot of that, because we know it that if Slafkovsky goes through a 4-game stretch where he doesn't look good or he's not putting up points, fans are going to be clamoring for Ivan Demidov. It's going to be, the noise is going to get real loud. And, the Canadiens haven't had a player where people are, I should say a forward where people are this excited about in a very, very long time. And that's saying a lot considering they have Cole Caulfield on the team.
The amount of Demidov sweaters we saw, he played 2 games last year, and the Demidov sweaters were already popping up all over town, right? So he's got he's a type of player. Slafkovsky's a big, solid guy, but I mean, he doesn't have the skill level that Demidov has, right? And so that a player of that, with that skill level, is something this market has been dreaming of for a long time, right? A guy, the offensive guy that takes you out of your seat when he gets the puck and when he goes down. Slafkovsky doesn't do that, right? He's a big guy, goes up and down, but he's not Lane Hudson, right? He doesn't bring you out of your seat when he's carrying the puck. And I think Demidov's another guy that can do that.
Last thing on Juraj Slafkovsky that he has to do, he has to shoot the puck.
Yeah.
Have 3 shots a game, 3, 4, 5 shots a game. None of this 1 shot, 2 shots nonsense. There's so many times where, how many times have we seen him just unleash an absolute laser beam?
Puck,
and it's just, then you go look down the game log because he just scored a goal. So you get excited. You go look at how he's been doing the past few games, and you see like 1 shot, 2 shots, 0 shots. Very frustrating. He needs to shoot the puck. Stu?
Well, just looking, he ranked, I'm just looking up here, he ranked 5th on the Canadiens in shots last season, behind Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, not surprisingly, behind Mike Matheson, and behind Brendan Gallagher.
Well, he needs to be number 3.
Yeah.
Or number 2, depending on if Nick Suzuki is shooting the puck less.
Yeah. He definitely has to have more shots than Mike Matheson.
Yes. Stu, you need to hit him straight this weekend because you got a golf tournament.
I'm going away on a golf trip to Gananoque with a whole bunch of buddies. So looking forward to it. It's always a lot of fun.
Whole bunch of buddies. That's putting it lightly for 30.
Yeah, well, 36.
I think 36 guys.
It gets bigger every year. So this year it's 36. So it'll be playing that Smuggler's Glen course in Gananoque, which is absolutely gorgeous. So it's one of the highlights of my summer every year.
So Stu, enjoy, hit him straight and far. That's my tip to you.
All right.
That's Stu Cowan for Shane Gaumont at Master Control. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBita.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.